The year is 2013. Miley Cyrus has usurped Justin Bieber as the resident top light skin. Game of Thrones provided me with my future wedding theme, and the light behind your eyes has begun to fade. A little app known as Vine has started to cement itself as the most influential source for memedom and audio stims that I assume are being used as part of MK Ultra 2.0. Amongst the iconic one-hit wonders of that era were creators that were catapulted to superstardom, fueled by four locos and racial stereotypes.
What inspired this jiggalation? Because this ain't nothing but a jiggalation right here.
They became global juggernauts, not big enough to have a McDonald's meal or rare disease named after them, but not everyone can be that important. Was their level of success in direct proportion to their talent? Listen, I'm trying not to chug on haterade this year, so all I shall say is that many of them were not my cup of tea. Yet considering how ubiquitous they were after making the perilous journey to YouTube, a platform which shoved these people down our throats, their current absence from the platform does make me wonder, whatever happened to them? Prison? No, not yet. But seriously, where are they at? Welcome back to my YouTuber retrospective series, where today I'm going to dip my toes into the Viner turned YouTuber category with one of the biggest and definitely most controversial creators that jumped that sinking Vine ship like a rat. Let's delve into the woman whose distorted face launched 1,000 commentary channels, who I made a video on a while ago, but I didn't really like it and it wasn't as in-depth. A woman who was as successful as she was infamous, who was detested really, but was the vitriol towards her warranted? Let's dive into the one, the only, Lele Pons. Government name, Eleonora Pons Maronez. My apologies if I mispronounced that last name incorrectly. I've never actually heard it said out loud properly. She shimmied into this world on June 25th, 1996 in Caracas, Venezuela. At age 5, her family moved to the land of Cubanos and retired Jews. Miami, baby. Scooping up her ropa vieja with matzah. I'm running out of cheap racial jokes. I never thought the day would come. Random fact, her uncle by marriage is the Puerto Rican singer Cheyenne, I believe is how you pronounce his name, who looks like a Latino Donny Osmond. But then I actually listened to some of his music, and I'd say he's more like a Chad Filter Mark Anthony. Lele was attending Miami Day School when she hopped onto Vine, like many high schoolers of that time. And she filmed a lot of content featuring her classmates. That is a tropical school uniform if I have ever seen one. Looking like Steve Irwin. Her content featured a lot of relatable teen/high school themes.
You did what?
Later.
Max?
I want you back.
What changed your mind?
Nothing.
Can you guys wait for me?
Yeah,
sure. Thank you so much.
Wait.
And if there is anything that Lele will mention, it is that she is Latina, which is like a religion or something.
What?
I don't know. Hijo de puta, es la cosa.
Look, I'm not one to judge regarding making cheap racial jokes, okay? I'd be dipping my toes into those lightly transgressive waters. But this was a very recurring theme in a lot of her content going forward as well. Though during the Vine era, she became known as the girl who was willing to throw her body around like a rag doll. She really was committed to doing anything for the sake of the punchline. She was jumping off bridges. Her Vine page was like yassified jackass. Lele claims that when she was younger, she would have trouble making friends, so she would play up her goofiness and get hurt to get a laugh. These stunt videos were how I was initially introduced to her. And I will say, having been online during the entire duration of Vine's popularity, I distinctly remember that back when she was still making these videos, she was relatively well liked, which I can understand because I went into her Vines trying to not judge her based on my own preconceived notions, and I actually enjoyed a lot of these. Are the premises fairly simple? Yeah, but that only adds to their universal appeal. Plus, you know, she was 16. I'm not expecting a Coen Brothers film. I get why people liked her. She was personable, she was kooky, she was really willing to do anything for the sake of the joke, and she captured people's attention. She was committed during this period, and more importantly, she was consistent. Oddly enough, I would say that a lot of her earlier work had more creativity and effort, frankly, than some of her more highly produced YouTube content. But I think that's because at this point, she was still hungry. That tunnel vision allowed Lele to become the third most followed Viner overall, but also the most followed female Viner, even becoming the first person, period, to reach 1 billion loops. Lele stated that she experienced bullying growing up and that she never saw herself as, quote, the cool popular girl, that she was the nerd, but that she was okay with that, emphasizing details like, she used to eat lunch alone. Now, I do not have any personal insight on what her school or adolescent experience was like. I'm certain that she did experience getting picked on or teased, which unfortunately is not that uncommon. Frankly, I don't think that some of her future actions would make any sense if she hadn't been bullied and really internalized a lot of that. But the emphasis on her being this sort of dorky loner, even after achieving virality and establishing what is a pretty extensive friend group, which she has never claimed only liked her once she became famous or anything like that, so they seem like they were genuine friends. It started to come off as more of a marketing gimmick to create an underdog narrative, one that positions Lele as the nerd that metamorphosized into a rich baddie, pulling up to the high school reunion toned, tanned, counting that dinero, which is relatable if you are, like many of her viewers, a dorky teenage caterpillar, but it also allows her to be this sort of aspirational figure. Listen, if you want to be a global superstar, you have to understand where you fit in the market and what your narrative is for branding purposes. She's not the only person to have done this. Okay, by the way, I'm not trying to discredit any suffrage experience when she was younger. However, two things can be true at once. If you get it, you get it. Basically, this is the ultimate, loner revenge fantasy that doesn't involve a weapon. Sometimes people, especially ones who did genuinely experience being socially ostracized, can filter the past through this narrative lens where they still identify as the underdog, even when looking back at a period of their life where they were actually more well-liked and popular than they care to admit.
Hey Goop, what's up? Cool binder.
Hey, Goop, wanna come over to my house today?
They all hated me.
And again, all of this is my personal opinion, okay? Because, again, I don't know this woman. Regardless, after graduating, she moved to LA in 2015, joining the infamous Viner apartment complex. I recognize that pool area. She locked in and was collecting collabs like infinity stones. By 2016, the writing was on the wall in regards to Vine, so she began shifting her energy towards YouTube. And after signing with the entertainment company Shots Studios that same year, her conquest of this platform began. Her first available YouTube video is from May 4th of 2016. Keeping Up with the Powerpuff Girls. Her videos tended to follow the popular and formulaic, but, generally relatable themes of boys versus girls, relationships are loco, I'm Latina. She tackled the O.J. Simpson trial, the occult, Dora if she was from
in the ghetto,
really utilizing recognizable characters or tropes like genetic mutant sisters, latex spies, toys that I assume they hand out to orphans, Italians. Her frequent collaborators were other famous Viners like Blue Eyes White Latino Juanpa, Bratz Doll Come to Life, and Anna Sarkis. And I do mean that in the best way possible because she is gorgeous. Self-appointed monarch King Batch, thick hair mannequin Rudy Mancuso. So jealous. I mean, look at that. It's thick like peanut butter. The assumed horse girl, Hannah Stocking. And most importantly, phenomenal abdomen haver, Amanda Cerny. Remember her. In 2016, she released the semi-autobiographical novel, Surviving High School, co-authored by Melissa de la Cruz. Keeping in tradition with YouTuber books, it might be safe to say that this was not as collaborative a project as was advertised. Truth be told, I don't know if Lele has ever even read the book. I mean, look, I hope that Melissa's check cleared at least. Some have criticized the book for placing a lot of emphasis on popularity and being famous online, but it doesn't even give practical advice on how to achieve either of these things. Like, if you want to create, a tween Machiavellian playbook, at least give practical tips. Though achieving online success at any cost might have been the one authentic viewpoint that Lele brought to the book. Lele made her acting debut that same year in Awesomeness TV's love triangle comedy, We Love You, FouseyTube, hey Yosef, Now, if you were on the internet circa 2017, you will remember that Lele Pons was getting dragged. The biggest gripe that people seem to have with her was that they found her cringe. And if the internet is unwilling to forgive anything besides being ugly, it's being cringe. However, I don't think that her being cringe really warranted this level of hatred, since at a certain point, it did become very dogpile-y. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like at the time, and also after that time, that I did not make fun of her. I don't think it was great. Looking back, you know, it did get a bit much. Frankly, this was the one criticism that I found the least compelling, because it is rather subjective whether you found her funny or not. Like, I know. I wasn't the biggest fan of her comedy, but I am trying to be fair here. And most importantly, this was the least transgressive thing she actually did. Her YouTube videos might not have been my cup of tea, but there were millions of people that did genuinely find her entertaining. Now, that is not to say that there were not valid criticisms of her. First being that a lot of her YouTube videos were fairly low effort. Like, the writing wasn't particularly good. And I don't just mean like I personally didn't find them funny. There are certain skits that just don't make any sense.
After I won the Latino Hunger Games, I was traumatized. And I knew you were the only one that can stop it. Like you did in the US district. So, are you in, miss?
They don't call me Katniss Everdeen for nothing.
I'm fairly certain what they meant to say was, they don't call me the girl on fire for nothing. They don't call me Katniss Everdeen. Like, that's your name. What do you mean? Do you see what I'm talking about? It's small things like that where you wonder, did anyone do like a second draft of this script, considering you have resources? The premises of her videos could get quite repetitive. The performances in a lot of these videos was all over the place. And this is, again, despite having more resources and financial backing than ever before. There was also her very odd, deliberate, and also very transparent targeting of kids, especially with the topics of her videos. But then she would include profanity and sensual content and other inappropriate things in the same videos that she's clearly targeting towards a younger audience.
Can you find the twerkers? Back.
Yet, despite all of this, she was still getting aggressively pushed out by YouTube around a time where many other creators were really getting screwed over by the platform's stricter monetization policies. There were other qualms people had with her not disclosing when a video was sponsored, or making posts pertaining to body positivity and, you know, accepting yourself, but still photoshopping her own photos. I mean, at this point, I assume that most of what I see online is either fake or heavily altered. I mean, look at this pic. I bet he's not even Asian. So I don't get that outraged or incensed if people Photoshop their images. However, like, when it comes to this issue, you have to pick a lane. Now, I would consider what Lele did to Amanda Cerny to be the most diabolical and treacherous way in which her desire for success, and in my opinion, her underdog complex manifested. Let's start from the beginning. Miss Cerny and Lele were besties. They would be collabing all of the time, making content together, and once everybody was starting to move on to YouTube, Amanda decided she was gonna make her own channel. So she's over at Lele's house when she uploads her first video. So she turns around for a second and poof, the video is gone. So Amanda's confused. She doesn't suspect Lele. So she's like, YouTube, why did y'all delete my video? And they go, girl, we did not do anything. That request came from your IP address. Huh, okay, fine. So she re-uploads the video. It gets deleted again. And Lele goes, oh well, I guess maybe YouTube just isn't for you. But then it gets worse. Turns out Lele was deleting a bunch of Amanda's content on Instagram in particular. And I'm talking like the most popular videos. This was deliberate sabotage.
And she's like, Amanda, I didn't delete it. I'm like, Lele, did you delete my videos? And she's like, okay, I did it. I'm like, why? Why did you do that? And then she said she didn't want to talk about it. And then she said, because she's Latina.
Okay. Whatever that means.
Now, Amanda, being a bit bigger person than I, was like, you know what? I'm just gonna cut my ties with this Brutus and let the situation go. But then Lele started to tell her fans, who, I assume might have just been confused as to why Amanda unfollowed her, that it was actually Amanda who was trying to sabotage her. Amanda is like, that's not true. But then Lele calls the cops to Amanda's house to tell her to take down the post in which, Amanda kind of exposes the truth. She called the cops? Well, who amongst us hasn't acted in a similar way? I think that her bizarre inability to take accountability for her actions speaks to, well, besides a very concerning thirst for success and a competitiveness that, let's be real, was getting the best of her. But I do think this also speaks to what happens when somebody who used to get bullied can't accept that they are now the transgressor. Because how can that be? I'm the underdog. I'm the victim. I will, however, be stealing that whole Latino alter ego. She made me do it, officer. It was her. She's loca. Despite all of this, and people rightfully criticizing her for this treachery, this controversy didn't really seem to have that much of an impact on her professional career, since she became a brand ambassador for CoverGirl. She walked in the Dolce & Gabbana fashion show in Milan in 2017. YouTube was still aggressively promoting her. Now, after the whole Amanda controversy and the just general hate train of that year, I think Lele went, you know what, I think it's time for another career shift. And she started focusing more on music. Initially, she started out just appearing in music videos, like in Camila Cabello's Havana and Downtown by Anita and J Balvin. Lele and Anita actually became pretty good friends after this. She was still releasing skits on her channel, though, and posting to Instagram consistently. Her stuff on YouTube and IG remained fairly consistent, like content-wise. There wasn't much of a shift in the themes of her video or her comedy. In 2018, still on her channel, she created and starred in the series Amigos, which is like a Latin parody of Friends. In 2018, she was in a relationship with fellow content creator Ray Diaz. They called it quits though, and frankly, Lele dodged a bullet with this one. In May of that same year, she released her debut single, Dicen, featuring Matt Hunter. It's a little Spanish ballad where they're dance flirting at golden hour in a mansion in the hills. That's how I always woo my men. It is a little bop, I'm not gonna lie. In August, she dropped the single and accompanying music video directed by Rudy Mancuso for Celoso. It was a one shot. They pulled a Hitchcock. And again, it's a fun song. It's a fun video. Lele does have a nice voice. She ain't no Cynthia Erivo, but she can carry a tune. And frankly, music does seem like more of a natural fit for her. The song was pretty successful. It went diamond, and the video got nominated at the Lo Nuestro Awards. She also performed the song at the Latin American Music Awards. In October, she hosted The Voice Mexico. She presented the Latin Grammy Awards. In March of 2019, she said, "Don't forget, I can also sing in English with a twang," and was featured on Jake Owen's Señorita. It's not a bad song per se, but something about this kind of gives me the vibe that this Jake guy would fully go up to like a brown woman and serenade her in Spanish and think like, "Ugh, I killed it. I impressed this woman." And she would just look up at him and go, "Sir, I'm Lebanese." She directed the music video for her song Vete Pa La, which she released in December of that same year. I guess she was done entertaining gringos because her music pretty much stayed in Spanish after this. Her transition into music proved to be successful, and it certainly didn't cost her video views. A lot of her music, production-wise, utilizes reggaeton-style beats. Like, you can tell she was getting crunk to Daddy Yankee back in middle school. Plus, she would feature a lot of his music in her early vines. I'm not a music critic, but I would say that a lot of her songs, they have the vibe of something you would like shimmy to while you were on a beach, nibbling on a papaya. She also did go on to perform on Lip Sync Battle to Gasolina, which is a top 10 fist bump song. So kind of a full circle Daddy Yankee moment. Or, at least it would have been if he was like in the audience. Pulled a Shia LaBeouf. The last sketch on her channel was uploaded in January of 2020. It's about not having your ID, but still really wanting to get into the club. By this point, Lele and a lot of her contemporaries, at least the ones who had pretty good foresight, had already begun taking their eggs out of the YouTube basket. That year, she was featured in the YouTube documentary original series, The Life of Lele Pons. It was at this point the most intimate look into her life, where she opened up about having to deal with pretty extreme OCD, ADHD, and also having Tourette's. Tourette's. She talked about the onslaught of hate that she was receiving around 2017 and how it really contributed to her depression. She's being very open and vulnerable in a lot of these episodes, but she does say that she is going to therapy and getting professional help for these issues, so she at least does have some sort of support system in regards to that. That same year of 2020, she began her podcast Best Kept Secrets with Lele Pons, where people would call in and spill tea and secrets and talk about their personal struggles. And Lele would give her advice and feedback. There'd usually be a guest. It doesn't have like a Dr. Phil vibe to it. It's a lot more casual and laid back. She got philanthropic and raised money for Venezuela, which was going through quite the economic crisis at the time. That December, she began dating Puerto Rican rapper Guana. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Guana? My apologies if I'm incorrect. That's how I heard her say it. And Lily does state that this was her first really healthy relationship. Now, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not really tapped into that music scene. So I really did not understand how popular he was. I don't know about currently, but at the time he seemed to be fairly popular. I think this does speak to how linguistically segregated the music world can be, but his style of rap does fit perfectly with her music, and they would collab on several songs. Lele continued to make sketches on Reels. They remained true to the formula of having like basically the IG version of clickbait, a lot of still slapstick comedy, a healthy sprinkling of tanned tucuses. On occasion, there'd be like a "get away from my man, you harlot" type video. I always aggressively push up my bosoms before interacting with a man. That's why I'm banned from my local Citibank. Her and her man did get engaged in July of 2022. I kind of love when a couple is the same height. It's chic. And you know they wear the same size shoe. That year, Lele received the Women's Entrepreneurship Day Organization's Influencer Pioneer Award at the United Nations. That was the longest title I've ever read out. In 2023, she had arguably her greatest honor. She competed in season 9 of the dystopian nightmare show, The Masked Singer. I don't understand who's consuming this show. I just imagine that this is just constantly playing on a loop in hospices. If anything, if I saw this while I was dying, I would think, maybe I'm not missing out on much by remaining on this planet. Is that Robin Thicke? Nick Cannon? Elmo? This show really is a fever dream. Yet I feel like my ancestors would have loved it. To be fair, the game Pong would have probably been overstimulating to them. She was also on the Mexican version of this show. Like a cancer, the show is spreading. She got married in March of 2023. It was a beautiful Floridian wedding without the meth, because, they're classy. Plus, culturally, that's the wrong substance. Her wedding dress is very interesting. I mean, she looks lovely, but it's almost like the top part looks like chic albino varicose veins. And I do mean that in the most fashionable way possible. You know what? If anything, they kind of look like vines. A full circle moment. She shimmied her way onto Dancing with the Stars, which also aired in 2023. She was partnered with Brandon Armstrong, and they were eliminated on the music video night. Her latest upload to her YouTube channel is from April of 2023, and it's her own party song, but the accompanying video is them filming at what is assumedly Coachella. Her and her man would perform this song and another one of their singles at the Latin AMAs. That year, she pranked The Voice Mexico by blind auditioning, but Anita recognized her, because of course she did, because these things are usually pretty scripted. How many versions of The Voice can there possibly be? How many countries must be subjected to this? Can you name 3 people from these shows? I mean, collectively, I'm talking every single international branch that are genuinely successful. Morgan Wallen? That Goo Goo Gaga girl? Somebody started a controversy about this show. You're probably right. This is just a ploy to harvest the contestants' vocal cords like stem cells. I don't care if that's not how they work. Up until this point, her Instagram still remained consistent. She'd post pics where she's not being glamorous, but oh, I also kind of am. A cut scene from The Little Mermaid. This is what adding plastic to the ocean does. Wait, no, that might actually motivate some of you. Lele won the Agent of Change Award at the 2024 Primos Juventud Awards for, quote, using her platform to talk about mental health and opening up about her experience living with Tourette syndrome. In March of 2025, the couple announced that they were expecting un bebé, and on July 26th of 2025, they welcomed a little baby girl, Eloisa. Aww. So a lot of Lele's most recent posts are obviously about being a new mommy. She's not showing the kid's face on her socials, which good. She still seems to be living in Florida, and she's still besties with Hannah Stocking. They routinely collab with each other up until this day. So far, I don't think she's had a more recent controversy that is comparable to what happened with Amanda. I mean, I don't know. That was still kind of wild to me, but, you know, I don't want to necessarily remember a person by their worst moments. So, how do I feel about Miss Lele? Do I think she deserved all of the flack? For being cringy or people not finding her funny? Like I said, I don't think it's worthy of that much genuine hatred. This is why making videos about individuals like this is so frustrating, because it's like, do I think they necessarily deserve to have the internet, have their foot on her neck? I still think that some of it was a little bit too harsh. But also, I do think that when you are getting propped up by a platform and given a lot in your career while still engaging in unethical behavior, you know, that criticism I do think is valid. At the end of the day, does any of this matter? I mean, not really. She's still loaded and has like a cute little family, and I'm here drinking my Trader Joe's spritzer. So I guess it's safe to say that despite all of that backlash, we're pretty much on the same level. Regardless, you cannot deny that she definitely left her mark on the internet. She collected her bag, and she didn't really dip exactly. She's still around, getting a good amount of views. I have a feeling a lot of them are international. There were millions of people that genuinely did enjoy her content. They grew up watching her, and she brought them a lot of joy and entertainment. And look, again, I can't knock that. Controversial take, I don't mind people being happy. Anyway, as always, if you would like a person to be featured on another future episode, please let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Comment literally anything you want down below. It doesn't even have to be positive. Tell me I look raggedy and my hair looks like it feels like hay. What do you think? You agree, disagree? You like my little armchair psychology section of this video? I don't know. I thought I was fair. Anyway, did you love her? Did you hate her? Did you grow up like actually watching her and liking her? You can be honest. Like, I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna be angry with you. God knows the stuff I watched when I was a kid, and I still watch it. You can't shame me. As always, thank you for watching. Shout out to my top patrons. If you would like to donate to my Patreon, please click on the link in the description or on screen. Thank you to my other lovely patrons. Your name should be scrolling on screen as I speak. Bye.